Okay everyone, this video is on 7.5 matrix multiplication, and one thing that you guys can probably use to help you is to write this down. So A times B equals AB. This is just if you have a matrix A times a matrix B, it's going to equal AB. But what helps you is that if you write the order of each matrix, such as M times N and N times P, remember that in order for us to be able to multiply two matrices, their number of row by column, so number of columns and the number of rows on the next one have to be the same. So these have to be equal. And then these tell you the order of the resulting matrix. So the order of AB. So we're going to use this idea right here to help us as we go along our examples. So first we're going to be checking to make sure that the number of columns is equal to the number of rows, and then we're going to be looking at this and this to tell us the order of the next matrix. So for this problem, let's go over an example here. So I'm going to go over the examples at the end so we can use those. So here, let me go over A. So our first example, this is going to be from example 9 in your book. Example 9, and then you have a matrix here: 1, 0, 3, 2, negative 1, negative 2. This 3 should be a little bit farther to the right, let's say right here. So then you have this is being multiplied times negative 2, 4, 2, 1, 0, 0, negative 1, 1, negative 1. So you have these two matrices being multiplied. And first thing we're going to do, let's say that this is A and this is B, is write down their order. So the order of this one is 2 rows by 3 columns. So remember that we first list the row and then the column. So this is a 2 by 3. This one's got 3 rows and 3 columns, so this is a 3 by 3. And if we notice, these two are equal, so that means that we are going to be able to multiply these. And then if we also notice, is that the order is going to be the order of the resulting matrix is going to be a 2 by 3. So I can already go over here and then say, okay, well, I know my resulting matrix is going to be a 2 by 3 because this number and this number right here tell me that. So I'm going to say, well, I know that I'm going to have 2 rows and 3 columns. So I know what I'm going to be getting, okay? So I'm going to multiply these out now. So one way to think about this is row times column. So then we're going to say this row, first row, times the first column. Add those together, that's going to give me my first entry. So we're going to have negative 2 plus 0 plus negative 3. So negative 2 plus 0 plus negative 3 plus 0 plus negative 3, that's going to be negative 5. Okay, and then in the next one I'm going to have, it's going to be my first row times my second column. So now I'm going to have negative, so I'm going to have 4 times 0 times 3. So I'm going to have 4 plus 0 plus 3. So that's 7. And then the next one I'm going to do is going to be row times the third column. So I'm going to have 1 times 2 plus 0 times 0 plus 3 times negative 1. So it's going to be 2 plus 0 plus negative 3. 2 plus 0 plus negative 3, that's going to be negative 1. Alright, and then for the next one, now I'm going to do row by column, and then row by column. So now my first one's going to be this row by this column. So it's going to be -4 when I multiply them, -1 when I multiply them, and +2. So it's going to be -4 plus -1, that's -5, plus 2, that's going to be -3. Okay, so -4 plus -1 is -5, plus 2 is -3. Okay. And then the next one's going to be this row again by the second column. So I'm going to have 2 times 4 plus -1 times 0 plus -2 times 1. So that's going to be 8 minus 2, 6. And now the last one is going to be the last row by the last column. So I'm going to have 2 times 2 is 4, -1 times 0 is 0, -2 times -1 is 2. So I have pretty much 4 plus 0 plus 2, and that's 6. Okay, so this is the matrix that we get, and let's move on to example B. So example B, this one right here is going to be 1, -2, -3, 2, -1, 1, and then right here we have 1 row by 3 columns. This is going to be 3 rows by 1 column. Notice that these two are equal, so we can actually multiply these. And then notice that we have a 1 by 1, so our order of AB is going to be a 1 by 1. So we're just going to have a matrix that's a 1 by 1. It's going to be pretty easy. So this is going to be row times column. So we're going to have 1 times 2 plus -2 times -1 plus -3 times 1. So in the end, we're going to have pretty much 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus -3. So 2 plus 2, that's 4, minus 3, that's 1. Okay, so that's it for this matrix. We just get 1. So let me just check that one more time. So 2, 2, and -3. Add those together, so it's 2 plus 2 is 4, minus 3 is 1. Good. So let's go on to the next example. Example C right here is going to be 2, -1, 1. 1, -2, and -3. Now this one, I want you to notice here, it's similar to example B, but we have the order is reversed of the matrix. So let's say that this is matrix A, this is B. So in a sense, now we're we're multiplying A times B. Right here we're going to be multiplying, in a sense, B times A. So now the order is reversed as far as what we're multiplying. And you're going to notice that we're going to get different answers, totally different answers. So now let's say we do call this one B and this one A, just so we can see how now we're multiplying them in different order. So our new matrix, this one we have a 3 by 1. This one we have a 1 by 3. Remember, row by column. So 3 rows by 1 column, 1 row by 3 columns. So if we notice, these are equal. So we can multiply. These are telling us that the order of BA is going to be a 3 by 3. So I know that my new matrix is going to be a 3 by 3. So that helps me out a little bit as far as understanding what I'm going to have here as my answer. So I know I'm going to have 3 rows. So there's 3 rows, and each row has, and the matrix has 3 columns. So now I'm going to go about and multiply these out. So I know it seems like we have too little information here, but remember, it's going to be row by column. So in our first row we only have the 2, in our first column we only have the 1, so it's just going to be 2 times 1, and that's it. We don't have any other entries to multiply and add, so this one's just 2. The next one's going to be row by second column, so it's 2 times -2, so it's -4. Then the next one's going to be first row by third column, so it's going to be 2 times -3 is -6. And then we are starting with the second row now. So now let's do a second row by each of the columns. So second row by first column, that's -1. Second row by second column, so that's -1 times -2 is 2. Second row by third column, that's going to be 3. Now let's move on to the third row. So now we're having third row by column. So now third row by first column, that's 1. Third row by second column, that's -2. Third row by third column, that's -3. So here we see how we can go from this to a matrix that's 3 by 3. Alright, so that's letter C. And now you can see the difference between B and C. Same matrices, but we're multiplying them in different order. Alright, so here we have letter D. And letter D, we have, let me check here. A, B, oh, sorry, that was our letter D sort of, but let me go ahead and jump into this one. So this one's gonna be 2, -1, 1. And actually, sorry, this is actually the one we just did. I skipped one, so that's why it's throwing me off a little bit right here. But instead of this matrix, let me cross this out. We are gonna do a 2 by 2. So we're gonna multiply it times -1, 2, 1, -1. And then we're gonna multiply those out. So if you notice, here we have a 2 by 2, 2 by 2. We can see that these are equal, so we can multiply these two, and then we can see that the order of our new matrix is gonna be a 2 by 2. So let's say this is AB. So we're starting a new problem here, so let's call this one A, let's call this one B again. So we know that the order of our new matrix is going to be a 2 by 2. So here we go, 2 rows, 2 columns. Now let's go ahead and multiply the first row times the first column. So we got 1 times -1 plus 2 times 1. So we get -1 plus 2. So that's going to be 1. The next one is going to be first row times second column. That'll give us our second entry up here. So we're going to have 2 plus -2. So that's going to be 0. And now we're going to move on to the bottom row times the first column. So we have -1 plus 1. That's 0. And then we're going to go second row by second column, so that's going to be 2 plus -1, that's going to be 1. So 2 plus -1. And here's our resulting matrix, which is a 2 by 2. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pause this video, and if you guys hopefully can use this to work on your homework.